If the world ever gave me one chance to choose again, maybe I wouldn't choose to be born as myself. Because in everyone's eyes, I am the luckiest kid ever born in the shinobi world. I was born when the war had already ended. I grew up in a peaceful era. I have a complete family, friends who are always there, and a father who is revered by the entire world. But they only see what the world wants to show them. They never see what I truly feel. Because sometimes, the life that appears the most perfect is the one hiding the hardest wounds to explain. Welcome to my life. My name is Boruto Uzumaki. Perhaps all this time you've known me as the Hokage's son, the son of the hero who saved the world. Or maybe you only know me as the stubborn kid who's always causing trouble. And I wouldn't blame you, because that really is what it looked like on the surface. But starting today, I want to invite you to see everything from my perspective. Not as a spectator, not as a ninja, but as myself. In the next few minutes, you might come to realize that my life was never as beautiful as you always imagined. Because being Boruto Uzumaki was never a stroke of luck, but rather the beginning of a tragedy that even I was never prepared to face. Ever since I opened my eyes for the first time, the world was already a safe place to live. Come to think of it, they weren't wrong. I have a father who became the world's hero, a name even bigger than all 5 Kage combined. Wherever I walk, everyone knows him, everyone respects him, everyone wants to be just like him. I also have such a gentle mother. Hinata's always at home, welcoming me with a smile, making sure I eat well, treating every small scrape, and hugging me whenever I feel sad. Then a few years later, Himawari was born. From that moment on, our home felt even more complete. If someone looked at my family from the outside, they would probably say Boruto has a perfect life. And to be honest, I used to believe that too. I grew up without ever being hated by the entire village like my father was. No one threw hateful glares at me, no one viewed me as a monster. I had plenty of friends. I could run anywhere without fear of being shunned. Even from a young age, I already had everything Naruto could only dream of when he was my age. I had a home, I had a family, I had love, I had a future. If my father's past life was a dark night, then my life was supposed to be a shining sun. But as it turned out, there was one thing I could never see whenever I came home. My father. Funny, isn't it? The whole world knows him as the 7th Hokage, but me, I only knew him as someone who was always late. Every morning before I woke up, he was already gone. Every night, when I wanted to tell him what happened at the academy, he was still sitting in the Hokage's office signing stack after endless stack of documents. Sometimes I stayed up late on purpose just to say hello. Sometimes I fell asleep on the living room sofa, hoping he'd come home soon. And when the door finally opened, all I saw was a man too exhausted to even speak for a few minutes with his own son. I began to wonder, why did the entire village get to have my father, but I couldn't? Everyone always says that becoming the Hokage is the greatest honor for a shinobi. But to me, the Hokage was just a job that kept stealing my father away every single day. Little by little, my longing turned into disappointment. That disappointment turned into anger. And without realizing it, I began to hate the one thing the whole village loved the most, the title of Hokage. From then on, I promised myself, no matter what happens, I will never become the Hokage. Because if becoming the Hokage means having to abandon my family like this, I don't want that title. When I turned 7, I entered the Ninja Academy. At first, I thought my life would just remain ordinary. But as it turned out, I was far more talented than I ever imagined. My exam scores were almost always perfect. Techniques that my classmates struggled with, I could grasp in just a few tries. Even the teachers began to notice that my abilities were way beyond kids my age. For the first time, I felt like people were starting to see me as Boruto, not just as Naruto's son. And that feeling made me happy. I came home with a simple hope. Maybe this time Dad will be proud. Maybe this time he'd say, "Good job, Boruto." But every time I opened the front door, that hope always ended the same way. Dad wasn't home yet. Or he was already asleep, exhausted from work. It's strange. I could get recognition from my teachers, I could get recognition from my friends, I could even get recognition from the entire academy, but I could never get the one recognition I wanted the most. Recognition from my own father. The more I grew, the harder I tried to become better. Not for the sake of the village, not to become a Hokage, not to be a hero. I just wanted someone to see me, someone who was always looking at the whole world except at me. And a few days later, Himawari's birthday arrived. That day was supposed to be a happy one. My mother cooked our favorite food, Himawari smiled while waiting for Dad to come home, and secretly, I was waiting too. I hoped, at least today, he would arrive on time. And sure enough, he came. Or more accurately, I thought he came, because a few minutes later his body vanished into a puff of smoke. The one who has been with us all along was just a shadow clone, a Kage Bunchim. The clone vanished because the real Naruto was simply too exhausted from working in the Hokage's office. The room suddenly went silent. I looked at Himawari, who was still holding her birthday present. I looked at my mother, trying to keep smiling even though she was clearly disappointed. And right at that moment, something inside me shattered too. I realized it then. Even for his own family, Dad was only capable of sending his shadow. If his job was really more important than us, then why were we even here? From that night on, I stopped trying to understand my father. I stopped defending him. I stopped hoping. All that remained was a single desire. I wanted to surpass him. I wanted to prove that the world didn't need a Hokage like him. But who would have thought that very desire was what slowly dragged me towards the worst decisions of my life? For the first time, I met someone who didn't look at me as the Hokage's son. He only saw me as a kid who had to prove his own worth. He gave me a condition. If I wanted to be his student, I had to master the Rasengan. And for the first time in a long time, I had my spark back. Not because of Naruto, but because someone had finally given me a chance to be recognized through my own efforts. Day after day, I trained. My hands were bruised and scraped, my chakra was depleted. I failed over and over, but I kept trying, because every step felt like a step towards someone who was finally willing to believe in me. I successfully mastered the Rasengan, but as it turned out, it still wasn't enough. I felt like time was constantly chasing me. I wanted to be stronger, faster, better. And that's when I made the biggest mistake of my life. I chose a shortcut. I accepted the scientific ninja tool. Not because I was too lazy to train, not because I was weak, but because I was far too starved for the one thing I had never gotten: recognition. I just wanted my father to look at me. I just wanted him to say he was proud to have a son like me. It was that simple. Yet it was that simple desire that destroyed everything. The Chunin exams finally began. I won, again and again. Everyone cheered. I felt like this was the day I had been waiting for all along. The day my father would finally see me as a ninja, not as a little kid who kept causing trouble. Until, finally, I stood in the arena against Shikidai. I used the device again. I won. The crowd's cheers echoed throughout the arena. I smiled. Finally, I did it. But only for 2 seconds, because the next sound I heard was an applause. It was my father's voice. He stood up, walked down to the arena, stopped the match, and then exposed all my cheating in front of the entire world, in front of the Kage, in front of my teachers, in front of my friends, and most painfully, in front of myself. When my headband was taken off, it felt like it wasn't just the cloth being stripped away. All of my self-respect was ripped away with it. Everyone looked at me. There was no more admiration, no more respect. All that remained was disappointment. How ironic. My entire life, I only wanted my father to notice me, and when he finally did pay attention to me, I was at the most humiliating point of my life. And even though I thought that was the worst day of my life, at least it didn't just end there.